Hi, I'm Lindsay Juergens, and this is Leaders Like Us. Thank you to our series sponsor, KINS, for supporting Leaders Like Us, Leadership Unlimited. This morning, I'm so excited to have the Goplins here, the famous Goplins. We have Chris Goplin and Megan Goplin. Thank you two for taking time out of your really busy schedules to join us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Okay, so let's just pretend like no one knows you, and I know that's not the reality. Everyone knows you. But let's just sort of go back a little bit, maybe talk about, are you from Grand Island, kind of how we got here?
Sure.
Give us some history.
Go ahead.
Sure. So I grew up in Giltner, so Grand Island was the big town to us, coming from a small village. So anytime we needed to come do anything shopping, entertainment, we always came to Grand Island. So I usually call Grand Island my home, although I loved growing up in a small town, and met him in respiratory school, actually. So we went through the program together and then graduated from SEC in Lincoln.
Okay.
Moved up to Omaha, worked at 2 different CHI hospitals for about 5 years. And somewhere along the line got married. When we decided it was time to start a family, we wanted to move back home to be closer to our parents. He's from Friend. Again, I'm from the Grand Island area. So we decided to move back to Grand Island and got 2 different jobs at the hospitals. And then I ventured out after a few years and went into real estate.
Really? That is so interesting. I didn't know that about the respiratory therapy history for you as well.
So we went to school together, and
No kidding. Interesting. See, I always learn things in these interviews. That's why I don't like to do a lot of prep. I'm like, tell me more. Okay. So you got out of respiratory therapy and went into real estate. Was there a particular reason for that, like schedule flexibility or something like that?
It was mostly with the transition of coming back from Omaha to this area. The position that I took coming from an inpatient setting was an outpatient clinic setting, which I liked, but it was a whole different scheme of things. And then the 4.5 years I was with Mary Lanning, we got a new Epic system, and that created new job opportunities. And so I moved into a different job opportunity, which eventually led to a position here in Grand Island, so I didn't have to commute. But each time I moved into a different position, I was further and further away from respiratory. Wasn't doing anything with my credentials, and it really wasn't my passion. That's definitely his.
Yeah.
And I always say I went into respiratory to meet this guy, and then I got my chance to really find my niche. And I've always wanted to do real estate. Finally took the leap when I got him to allow me to. It was a hard decision to make, but a scary one. But we decided to make the jump, and it's been amazing. So
That's awesome. So respiratory therapy is your passion, so you're living your dream. What drew you to respiratory therapy?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I've always I've had asthma my entire life, and wanted to help people with conditions like myself, and I kind of just fell into respiratory therapy from the college standpoint. Really, kind of like most kids, really didn't know what I wanted to do, but. After kind of getting general education done and things like that, I kind of found myself gravitating more towards, what I do now, and I'm very thankful.
That's awesome. So you're in Grand Island, obviously, like work essentially brought you back, but you wanted to be closer to where your family is. And then now you're involved in your communities. You recently started this new venture with Keller Williams Heartland, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
Can you give me a little history on that,
Sure.
like how that piece came to be?
Absolutely. When I got my real estate license in January of 2020, I was with Berkshire originally, and there was 2 other gals with Berkshire that we just had an opportunity to start something new and do something a bit different with the real estate world here in Grand Island, and that was bringing Keller Williams to town. Keller Williams, each office is individually owned and operated by the agents. We have a cost center and a broker up in Lincoln, but truthfully, we kind of run the show, and so there was a little bit of a ownership piece of it instead of promoting the agency. Keller Williams is more about promoting the individual agents, which is what drew us to that. And they just give a different experience that Grand Island I didn't think was getting, and so we decided to bring it to Grand Island, and it's been great. We've have been growing. We have 9 agents now here in Grand Island.
I did not know that.
1 in Hastings, several in Kearney, 1 in Sutton. And Keller Williams is huge up in Lincoln and Omaha, but until we brought it here, it hasn't really gotten this far to the west. So
Interesting.
now we're growing, and I think people know the KW name now, which is so exciting.
Yeah, that's fun. Awesome. All right, well then, let's also talk about the fact that you all don't just work here, you're involved here. You were in Leadership Tomorrow Class 36, and you are in Leadership Tomorrow Class 38.
Yep.
And that's just one example. I know you're plugged in many areas. So can you talk about sort of your why you care about this community, why you invest your time, and I'm sure you invest your dollars. Like, why does this matter?
I think after really seeing, going through Leadership Tomorrow was very eye-opening. Gives you a much greater knowledge of what's happening in your community and where people need the most help and how you can get involved to make a difference. You can sit around and let your, be a product of your environment, or you can input yourself and let your environment be a product of you. And so if you're willing to do the work and you're gonna go out there and be the better, be the good, you can really make an impact in your community, and Leadership Tomorrow really teaches you the avenues of where you can make that impact.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you?
He kind of just said it. Being in the program currently has, again, eye-opening. There's so many things about this community that I didn't even know existed, and so many ways that I can help out and that I can contribute. And I have the need and the want to be out there and make a difference, because I do love Grand Island, and as a small business owner in this community, which this community is great to small business owners, and so I want to make a shout out to that. Grand Island has been so awesome with us bringing a new agency to town, and the support that they have. The Best of Grand Island competition they do is just so amazing to really shout out to all of those business owners, and I just want to give back. And so Leadership Tomorrow has definitely opened up my eyes on how I can do that.
That's awesome.
And getting to meet the alumni as well has been,
Yes.
as you go through the town and find out other people who have been in the program.
It's a lot of people.
In the real estate world, Tracy Babcock has been in the program, and then we know Will Armstrong, who was in an earlier class, and just amazing people, and the impact that they're having on the community, and finding out how they've made their impact, and it's really fun to learn.
I love that. That's a great point. I really appreciate the fact that you all are willing to give your time back to, and I think about, we have a lot of community members that simply don't have that option. And I feel so fortunate because I'm also someone who can make time to give back to my community. So I guess there's that sense of responsibility piece that a lot of us have.
Right.
I just can't say that enough, how much that means to me to see my fellow Grand Islanders kind of looking out for one another, and especially looking out for the folks who can't make board meetings work and can't take a day off per month during LT to get away. And thank goodness many of us can, but there are a lot of folks who can't. So I really appreciate the fact that y'all and so many others are committed to making time for people.
That's a great point. I mean, I think that there are lots of people who, if they had the time to make that difference, they would, and sometimes the circumstances just don't allow, and that's completely understandable. But I think, everybody in their own right has the ability to make some sort of impact on our community, whether big or small. Everything counts, and everything adds up to make Grand Island obviously a better place to live, to bring more people here, and to grow our community.
Yeah, and we know there's growth. Oh my gosh. So you have hands in growth. You've got hands in growth with real estate. And then you also have an interesting venture happening. Do you care to share about your rental properties? It's something that is highly needed in our community is housing.
Sure,
so do you want to share a little bit about that?
I think that's, we did a couple years ago, we decided to create a company with rentals, and we've been looking to grow that as well. It's called Leisure Island Rentals, the company name, but at the same time, we're always looking for opportunities of growth and obviously for affordable housing for Grand Island residents as well. We do recognize that rent rates and things like that are very high right now. And, looking for opportunities to make that better for people who are coming into our community, whether that be people who are coming in for temporary work or for Grand Island residents, more importantly, giving them a place to stay and a place to feel safe. And not only that, but make it work financially.
Right.
The rental need is so huge, and I mean, housing in general, but renting and buying both. But the rent is so high for a lot of people, and then you also have the hurdle that if there's a credit score issue and the finances might be there, but the credit score, if it's not, you're not getting approved, and then you don't have a place to go. And so if there's more rental options for people like that, that's what we want to offer. And like Chris said, if it's temporary, if it's short term, we have that, and we'd like to look into any long-term options too, to start investing in some of those as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Would you be willing to share like current projects you're working on? Anything about current happenings or no?
We have 4 units in the Yancey, so the Yancey condos downtown.
Awesome.
That's all we have so far, but we have business partners with us. Leisure Island is 4 of us, and so we are currently having a lot of conversations about getting back out there and finding other investment opportunities, whether that be multi-unit or single-family homes. We're just kind of keeping our eyes open for good opportunities.
And you probably have a really good way of being like, keep me informed, everybody.
And the business partners are in real estate too. So,
they are.
Yeah. So we have some good eyes out there and some resources that we can use.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you have 2 little girls, 2 beautiful little girls. How old are they right now?
7 and 5.
7 and 5. So very busy.
Going on
wild
16
women.
and 14.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right?
Yep.
And, are you thinking of sticking around the area long term? I'm kind of assuming so, but like long term, so like raising them all the way through high school and maybe seeing them come back here if they go to college and come back. So like really setting that example for them. What do you want to see for Grand Island, say in the next decade?
I think it already is growing so much. We're expanding. We've got another hospital. We've got the mall coming, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm also on the Regional Planning Committee board, so that's kind of nice too, because I kind of have a little say in the projects that are being delegated and the people that are coming up in front of the board with ideas of how to grow Grand Island and what to bring to the community and where we can expand. And so that's kind of nice to be able to know what's coming and be a part in making the decisions to help with that as well. I don't speak for you, I guess, but I would love to be here long term. That's the plan for me.
Sure.
And I don't want my kids to go too far away for college, but I know they got to spread their wings, but I would love for them to come back this way when that time comes.
Yeah.
It's a great
Absolutely.
community. So.
It is. And feels like it's growing really rapidly.
It
We've got so
definitely
many
is.
things happening right now. And I I our Youth Leadership Tomorrow program, and I get to spend a lot of time with our younger community members, and I really, really enjoy working with them and hearing from them, like because I will ask questions and they do projects even on what do you want to see in Grand Island, and it is so cool. Maybe I should just invite you to when they do those presentations and be like, do you want to hear? It's good stuff. But I think our young people are just awesome, and they can call it out, and they know what they want. They want things happening here. They want activities to do. They want access for people who aren't just like them, access to, a lot of things. But it's actually really cool. One of the projects that they presented on this year, whenever I said, dream big, talk to me about what you want for Grand Island, one of them came up with a super accessible park. So like wheelchair accessible and like walkways and pathways that were just super friendly to everybody. And I really love that.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just opened up a new park recently.
Did.
And so,
I know. I love that. That's so progressive.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
What excites you for your little girls, like in the next decade? What's next for them in GI?
It's a great question. I think the time that we're willing to invest will inevitably pave the way for what will be Grand Island for the future that they see. So making sure that we're investing in the right places, make sure that we're pushing for the right things as we see, right? And, you know, that may not be everybody's opinion about what that is, but,
Sure.
you know, what do I want for Grand Island? I want to see better paying jobs. I want to see a higher level of education being strived for by many. Keeping the colleges that we have here flowing with master's degrees after people are done with their undergrads. To have people go back and achieve that level of education, we need to have the right jobs in the town too. So, you know, with growth comes responsibility, but at the same time, I think that we have the right people on the Economic Development Committee. I think that we have the right people in, obviously, the chamber, who these people are willing to go out there. They're doing the hard work. We have the Courtney Glocks. We have, the Will Armstrongs. We have all these great people who intend on doing nothing but great things for Grand Island, and it's because they call this place home. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to learn to do is we have to call this place home. And if we're willing to invest the time and we're willing to have the conversations around what needs to be done, of course it's going to be hard work, but it's going to pave the way for the next generation.
Right.
I agree. I think about that a lot. You know, if we're only thinking about right now for ourselves and not considering the next generation, that's pretty darn short-sighted. And I'm thankful to be in a lot of conversations with people with that longer lens and talking about what are we doing for our kids.
Yeah, you have to
have to.
plan. You have to. You just
Not
gotta-
everything's going to come right away. I mean, that's the thing is like,
That's right.
you know, growth is progressive, and it's not something we're just going to see overnight. And I think the painful thing is trying to actually get to what you envision, obviously, and there's a lot of growing pains in between. But like I said, I think we have the right people in the right positions to really see that through and to, you know, invest in our leadership with obviously you and Jess, who have awesome program in Leadership Tomorrow. If you haven't considered doing it, I would highly consider doing it. Things of that nature that's going to really help our community grow.
Yeah. It's also fun, right? Like it's
It's
also
super
fun to help move things along and
Yes.
help people get connected to things maybe they haven't explored yet. It's kind of a blast too.
It is. It really is.
Selfishly, I have fun doing that. So there's that too.
Sure. Yep.
Chris, I've heard a little bit about this clinic that will be opened by St. Francis on Capitol. Can you share a little bit about that happening specifically?
Absolutely. St. Francis is, we're looking to, rebuild what we have available for the physicians. And obviously we're invested in, St. Francis is very invested in making the community, bigger with more availability to care, more access to care with more specialties. And I think, as that comes, we're going to need more room for our physicians. So they are planning to block off a piece of land over there off of Capitol and right off of Webb there, right next to the old VA.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's been slated, for some time. Things come up, things change. But from what I know, the family practice area that will house our physicians over there should break ground at some point this year, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But we're excited to see that go up over there and have a new home for our physicians.
Yeah. Is it challenging at all because I'm thinking about the fact that a lot of folks, a lot of industries across the board have trouble getting employees, but you're talking about building a whole new thing. And I ask this question to everybody in development, because I look at what is happening out at Prairie Commons and I'm like, holy Toledo, that's so much, and calls for so much staff. So is St. Francis doing anything tactically in terms of looking at staffing a new facility?
That's to staff a new facility, it brings its own challenges, obviously. But moving the physicians out to that building, they somewhat have the staff that they need at this time.
Okay.
But that changes day by day, and the things that will the challenges that will bring.
Yeah.
But as far as how we're staffing the hospital, we've come up with several great projects and things that we're working out as far as building our own, going to high schools to really recruit our seniors and really get into the healthcare academy at Gish. we're always looking to build new employees and obviously get people into healthcare.
Yeah.
And it's all about going out there and recruiting and telling them about the great things that we do.
That's awesome. And that's smart. You have to bring the kids into the industries young to at least look at it, feel it out. You know, I think that's the best thing happening at Gish right now specifically is the fact that kids can see the industries up close and be like, oh, I like that. Or sometimes even more valuable, oh, I don't like that. And then switch gears.
And it's important to know that like there's always shadowing opportunities.
Yeah,
There's,
okay.
you know, some
Awesome.
people don't realize that they can do that. They can come in and say, you know, I'm thinking about going into healthcare.
Yeah.
Come in, take a look, tell us what you really like about healthcare, and we can put you in those places and give you a much more in-depth look at what that looks like.
That's awesome. Good to know. Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you. Again, I know you're very busy humans, and I know you had to take time out of your day to come visit with me. I appreciate you as community members, as leaders. You're fabulous, fabulous people, and I'm so glad that both of you now will have gone through leadership tomorrow, so I get to call you fellow alumni.
Yes. If I
appreciate you as
graduate.
well.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes, really. We'll see, Megan.
I'm 2 months.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Again, thank you to Ken's for being our series sponsor. This is Leaders Like Us, and I'm Lindsay Juergens.